Once we have created masters, we'll go ahead with financial tagging. Now what is financial tagging? Financial tagging is the core process through which we would be converting our balance sheet, cash flow statement and income statement along with their notes into XBRL. First of all, we need to import our required financials. So I need to go to this document master and upload my file, as this is the required file for me. You may see the file has uploaded successfully. So I'll just click on this tab of financial tagging and the software would load the XBRL taxonomy and my uploaded financials for me. Now this is the financial taggings window appearing on your screen, and on your left hand side you may see the Excel file and your financials that you uploaded, and on right hand side it represents the XBRL based taxonomy. To begin with the process, I'll first go to reset setting in these utilities. From here I need to adjust some settings, as I first need to enter this label column number. In label column number, we enter the column in which the names of various assets, liabilities, etc. do appear. As of now, you may see that the column A contains various label names such as share capital, current liabilities, etc. So column A is number 1, so I would enter 1 here. In column difference between the years, we enter the difference between the current and previous year's figures. So I may see that current year figures are in column C and column D contains previous year's figures. So the difference between the column is 1. So here the number would be 1. And in level of rounding, we enter the figures which may be in our crores or lakhs or thousands. So as of now, I have my figures in rupees. So I'll go with actuals. As I click on save, the settings get saved. Since we have our financials in sections and parts as of profit and loss statement, cash flow, balance sheet, etc., we are required to select the type of financial statement from here, as it could be balance sheet or income statement or both of them. For now, I'll go with balance sheet. As you may see, the software would load all the relative abstracts of balance sheet on your right hand side. Now let us start with the tagging process. In order to tag any financial, what we need to do is to look for each line item in our Excel file and to provide an appropriate label name to each of them out of this XBRL based taxonomy. In my balance sheet, very first item which I can see is share capital. So I'll just place my cursor in current year's column representing share capital's figure here, and I'll look in balance sheet for share capital's abstract, as this is the tag for me. I just need to double click here and you can see the share capital in your Excel file, the figures have turned to green, which indicates that these figures have been tagged. And you can also these figures in your XBRL based taxonomy. In the same way, we'll tag our reserves and surplus. We also have an option of search element like here. In case we are unable to find any element or label name, we can type it here. As of now, I'm looking for reserves and surplus. My software would show me all the relative heads of reserve and surplus, and as I double click on the required file, on the required label name, the software would take me to its particular location. Now I'll simply tag it. Reserve and surplus figures also went to green. In the same way, I'll tag whole of my balance sheet here. Once whole of my balance sheet is mapped, I can verify it through an internal validation check of my software. As you can see on the bottom left hand side, there is a difference saying that difference in balance sheet for current year as well as previous year is 0, which reflects that all the elements and figures have been tagged. And in case if you find any amount in any of these years, it means that balance sheet is not yet tagged appropriately. Our next step would be to assign a note number to each of the line items, like we usually do while preparing the financial statements. As I can see, the share capital contains a note number 1, so I'll assign a note number to share capital here. As I click right, I can see an option of add note number, or F4 is the short key, so I'll give it a number 1. For reserve and surplus, it's 2. For long-term borrowings, I'll give it 3. And for long-term provisions, it's 4. In the same way, I'll provide all the note numbers. After assigning all the notes, I will see that in taxonomy, all the elements are reflecting in red color. This red color of elements indicates that some schedule is attached to that particular element and that schedule still remains to be tagged. Therefore, we need to map all the notes also with their respective heads. For instance, let us tag the note of reserve and surplus. As I click right here, I'll see an option of go to note, or the short key is F7. As I click here, the software has taken me to the note of reserve and surplus. As I open the statement of changes in reserves, I can see various heads of reserve and surplus, of capital reserve, employee stock option, etc. So I need to browse for reserve and surplus note here also in my Excel sheet. I'll adjust the columns as per my need. As this is the note of reserve and surplus, so what I see is the heading is surplus. So I'll go to this abstract of surplus here. As this is the beginning amount, I have tagged this. Profit for the year would be in changes in reserves. Here I'll provide the tag. Now the totals do match here. I may see that the heading of note of reserve and surplus also turned to green. And as I click on this option of go to parent, or as I click F7 key, I can see that in the main balance sheet also, reserve and surplus element went to green, which indicates that the mapping of this particular schedule is done properly. Therefore, this is the second internal validation check in our software, which ensures that nothing remains untagged. Thus, we are required to tag all our notes in the same way until they turn to green in color. Let me explain to you some other features of the software also. As you click right on any line item, you may see various available options. The very first option available is remove tagging. Remove tagging option may be used if we find out that some element is tagged improperly. So, for example, if I do not want this tagged, I will simply click delete here and the tag is removed. As you can see, the color has gone and figures are also removed from here. The next option is to go to linked cell. Through this feature of go to linked cell or pressing F5 as it is the short key, you are able to locate the linking of a mapped line item with that of an element in your Excel file. As I press F5 here, I can see that in Excel file the figures gets highlighted. So in this way you are able to find out from where did you map a particular element. The next feature is to add a footnote. You may add any additional information in current year or previous year. For example, if I want any information to go with my current year figures, As this is the required information, I can simply paste it here, or I may type it also. As I save it, the footnotes get saved. Now the next option is to change sign. The change sign option helps you convert your figures from positive to negative or vice versa as per your requirements. Next facility is of view details. This facility of view details lets you see the details of the amounts as well as their linking. This feature is really helpful in case you have done some clubbing of two or more amounts in a single head. For example, I have clubbed these two amounts in this single head of other balances with banks. So in view details, I can see the linkings. Now if I want to save such information that I have clubbed some figures here, I can click on this footnote, that is save with footnote, and such information would be saved in both the years, as in current year or previous year and previous year. Let me introduce to you a very helpful facility of auto tagging. This feature is really helpful for our software users who have done XBRL tagging using this software only in earlier years. This facility allows this software to tag your financials by itself. The auto tagging would be based on yesteryear's tagging treatment, matching the similar label names and figures and thus mapping accordingly. Or else you may also use this auto tagging for a fresh year, that is in case you did not do tagging in previous year through this software. In this case, the software would be auto tagging using its own library. So for now, I have my financials in previous years also. So what I need to do is to click check here in front of this auto tagging option, and a message would reflect on the screen saying if I really want to enable this auto tagging option. As I click yes here, I can find out a message appearing saying auto tagging mode is enabled. Now I'll click on this button of auto tag from Excel. I need to readjust my settings here. Further, I need to enter the number of column containing current year's figure. For now my figures are in column C, so I would give it a number 3 here. C is also blinking here. As I click OK, the next message would appear saying if you want to use these settings for all sheet, then press yes, or else press no. So I want these settings for all the sheets, so I would press yes here. And if you have done your financial tagging in previous year through this software, you may click on yes button or else press no. So I will go with yes here. Now you can see the software is tagging all the notes by itself. And all the figures, you may see that all the figures are getting tagged by themselves. We may see that all the amounts and figures have been mapped, and we are spared to do the tagging manually. In this way, auto tagging proves out to be a really helpful and time-saving process. So that was all about the procedure of financial tagging.